This video chart presentation of Great Wolf Resorts Inc. This is a NASDAQ Global Market stock trading our ticker WOLF. This is just a great climb this has put together over the last couple weeks. 7 out of the last 8 days have been up. I want to look at this chart possibly as stalling out right through here and putting together some sort of retrace, or at worst case scenario, some sideways motion. That's just because it's at a pretty strong resistance point right now. So this might be one I'd look at playing the downside of. Not real sure what's driving this. They put out some earnings that were real strong. But from a technical standpoint, it's at a pretty good resistance level. So it might be time for it to take a breather. See, a bullish cross did happen right there on the bottom. Chart certainly is trying to reverse course. PPO ADX pinch. Now what you look for on this, we talk about this a lot of times. If it starts to pull back, look for everything to just kind of cave back in a little bit, but continue an upward trend in the long-term picture of things. This is where you talk about people playing both sides of a stock. Play it one way when it's going up, play it back when it's coming back down. People that like to stay on one particular stock, or they have a few favorites. A lot of times that's the way they'll play it. They'll get to learn its trading patterns, and they'll play it on the upside, and they'll play it on the downside. This chart in particular would be a point where they'd be looking at playing the downside, and that's why I decided to do this one. Now you can see through here, just a huge separation, something I always talk about. You start to see that sort of gap between the 7 MFI and the 14 and 21. That's another point you look for it to start coming back down and trying to get a little bit closer together again. Not a bad look at the accumulation distribution, but still kind of hanging out in the middle of a channel, somewhere right in that area. A breakout of that channel to the north side would certainly show a lot more strength to it and much more bullishness and be good for the long-term picture of the chart. Chaikin money flow trending right there around neutral at this point. And this CCI, technically speaking, that's the buy point. But this is why a lot of people that are bottom feeders will use the break of negative 100 as the buy point, because if they did that, they're in through there and they get to ride the full wave up. Full stow is certainly showing some momentum coming in. Sharp rise up. Looks like it's starting to flatten out a little bit, perhaps. Something to keep an eye on for the momentum losing some steam. Like we always say on those big drops, you don't get a lot from the tricks. But what you do get from it is the longer term picture to see if this starts trending back towards zero. RSIs, they've moved right along with it. A lot of momentum coming into the play. But really what I see in this is a pretty strong resistance level right there, just about $3. You can see it was a little bit of resistance all the way back here. Certainly a strong resistance point through this area. Many days tried to move through it, kept pulling back down, and did it again yesterday. And of course, it's tying right in there with that 50-day moving average, which is registering 301. So pretty tough spot for it. If it does break through that, it doesn't actually meet more resistance until up there around 330, 340 or so. Of course, the top end would be 365. Now, if it does go falling back down, where does it pick up support? Where we look for it to hold? Right there around 280. The 200-day moving average is right there to help give it some support. And there's some pretty good price per share support right in through there. You can see back here, classic T8 was a resistance point also. So that's where I'd be looking for an initial fall to come to. If it slips through that, 260. Now, if you're playing the downside of things, I didn't look at an options chain on this to see how it does with options. 141,000 shares traded. It might not even have very much in the line of playing options because that's relatively low volume. This isn't really about making an actual play. It's about how do you look at a chart and what do you do with support and resistance levels. Now, if someone did happen to grab some shares down in through here and you rode this nice run up, this is where my finger would be getting pretty close to the sell button because I know it's at a strong resistance point. And if I see this thing come out, and it comes out weak, I would look at that as a point to secure gains and be happy with about a 25 or 30% move. It would be considered a short-term swing trade at that point. Really, you only held it for a couple weeks. But point being, that's how people would play it. If it does continue the upward movement, that's why your finger's just close to it. Then you're looking for this next resistance level, perhaps. But always staying close to the sell button because there's a good chance this is going to pull back and give at least part of this back, take a breather, and then try and move again. So that's what I say about people playing it the whole way around. Through here, sitting in this channel, basically just a hold. Breakout, start look for it to get toppy, which it did through here, strong resistance around 360. You have to start saying, okay, there's a support level here. If it breaks that support level, chances are it's heading down, and there it goes sliding down. The most basic things of technical analysis are buy on support, sell at resistance. And that's how people will play both sides of any chart. It doesn't matter if it's Wolf or if it's Apple or a big or small company. The technical analysis helps give you guidance as the support and resistance levels, what's going on, and it helps increase your odds. It's not a crystal ball. It doesn't tell you exactly. Nothing's definitive about it. But it does help give some support to the ideas of trading and potential movement in a chart. So I thought we'd take a look at Wolf today, use it a little bit as a TA lesson as much as anything else. So let's throw this on the watch list and see how it deals with this resistance. As always, this is merely my interpretation of the Great Wolf Resorts chart. Thank you for watching and trade smart.